Today, Jesus has a message for us. He says to each and every one of you, no storm can sink the boat of your life as long as he is with you. That is his message. That no trial, no difficulty, no storm can sink the boat of your life as long as he is with you. When we sing the song, In Heavenly Love Abiding, we say, the storm may roll without me, my heart may low be laid, but God is all around me, and can I be dismayed? The storm may roll without me, my heart may low be laid, but God is round about me, and can I be dismayed? That is why, again, he says that as long as he is with you, no storm can sink your boat. Friends, if you look at the gospel reading, it was Jesus who gave the command, let us cross over to the other side. Before this, he had been teaching, giving parables. They had had a good afternoon. I am sure if it were up to the disciples alone, they would have preferred to be where they were enjoying success. But they had to obey the command of the master. It was in obeying the command of the master that they faced a storm on the lake. Brothers and sisters, sometimes the storms you face, the storms I face, are all because we are obeying the command of the master. The storms you face in your workplace, it's all because you want to do something ethical, obeying the command of the master. And that leads you into trouble. I mean, you have women and men here who, because they are obeying the call of their master to remain married, are going through storms in their homes. So sometimes it becomes more attractive to say, why don't I do it my own way? I remember Paul would tell us, whether we live or we die, we belong to the Lord. So our option must always be the option of God. And in obeying those options, we may encounter some storms. And that is why that assurance becomes so important. That as long as Jesus is with you, no storm can sink your boat. The disciples, most of them were fishermen. And they were all aware of the topography of that land. That the lake they were going to use, there can be surprises in terms of the storms that occur occasionally and without warning. But they would go. And the storm comes, and they are helpless. Brothers and sisters, If these fishermen couldn't handle the storm, they couldn't handle their boat, it will tell us that sometimes our professional expertise, our capacities and capabilities may never be enough for us to face the problems of life. So when you are tempted only to dwell on what you know you are able to do, be careful. They were fishermen, yes. They had dealt with storms, yes. But this particular storm was beyond them. So it is important to reflect and see whether in every situation you want to rely on your own strength, on your own skill, or you want to rely on Jesus, who is with you. We are told that the storm happened. It was a violent one. It came without warning. They were not prepared for it. Who here is ever prepared for any storm? Because, friends, sometimes it only takes a phone call for a storm to start in your life. Sometimes it may only take a lab report for a storm to start. You think everything is okay. You go for your regular lab test and tell something is happening in your life. Then the storm starts. Sometimes the storm may even be just because of the kind of life your child may be living. And that brings you storms. So nobody ever prepares for a particular storm or the other. It just comes our way unexpectedly, very violently. And we can become helpless. But in such situations, where do we keep our focus? It is interesting that Mark will paint us a picture that whilst the disciples were terrified, what was Jesus doing? He was sleeping. And was he just sleeping? He was sleeping very comfortably, right? On a cushion. Mark gives us that detail. And I hear that when boats are sinking, the first part that sinks is the stern. And that's where Jesus was sleeping. As if to suggest to us that if the disciples had even looked at Jesus and allowed his posture and where he was to speak to them, maybe they would have reacted differently. But brothers and sisters, we all know that when the storms rise, what takes over is fear. But that description in the gospel becomes an opportunity for us to see that there's another paradigm that we can begin to cultivate and pray about. The grace to be able to sleep through the storm. But we can't do this on our own. We can't do this on our own. We can only do it with the help of God. And for us who gather here every Sunday to celebrate the power of the Mass, at every creed we say, we believe in God the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. When we use the Nicene Creed, we say, maker of all things visible and invisible. He's the one we believe in. How are we able to flesh out this belief in a way that when the storms happen, we can also lie on a cushion in the stern? Then comes the question, Master, do you not care that we perish? Sometimes we've all asked the question before, where is our God? When the going gets tough, when we think we have done all our best for God, and still things don't turn out well, we ask, Master, do you not care that we are perishing? I'm sure you've heard of the story of the footprints. This person who had a dream that he was walking on the beach with God. Then flashes of his life kept coming to his mind. And he notices 2 sets of footprints at every turn. And at the point, there was only 1 set of footprints. And as he reflected upon his life, he noticed that whenever there was that 1 set of footprints, those were his lowest, saddest moments. So he spoke to God. God, you promised me that as long as you are with me, I can go through life. But I noticed that during my saddest moment, during my lowest moment, you abandoned me. There was only 1 set of footprints. So God, you didn't keep your part of the bargain. And God responded, my son, I keep my word. Each time you saw the set of footprints, that was a time that I carried you in my arms. So what you saw was not yours. What you saw were my footprints. Echoing the words of Isaiah 49, 15 to 17. Can a mother forget the child at the breast, or have no compassion on her child? And God will say that even if a mother would forget, I, the Lord, will not forget you. I have carved your name in the palm of my hand. So when we are tempted to ask the question, Master, do you not care? Encourage your heart with the promises contained in God's word and walk on those promises, because God is faithful to his promise. When Jesus wakes up, we are told he rebukes the wind. The word used there in its original, he muzzled the storm to show his power over the forces of nature. It is that which is echoed in the first reading from Job that we heard. God telling the sea, still and no more. And after doing that, something interesting goes on. He would ask them, do you still have no faith? Brothers and sisters, so you can see from the question of Jesus that for Jesus, it was not just the external storm he was thinking about. He was also thinking about the storm in the heart of the disciples, the storm of unbelief. Because internal preparations are always key to how we deal with the external pressures. That is a fact of life. Internal preparations are always important with how we deal with external pressures. And when there is unbelief in your heart, what can you do externally? And that is why he would ask them, do you still not have faith? Because faith is not about holding on to certainty. It is still trusting even in the midst of uncertainty. That is what faith is about. And that is why it is important that for us who come for Mass and receive the Holy Eucharist, we must always be constantly working on our faith. Because sometimes you think you have faith only until crisis strike. So at every Eucharistic celebration, you have an opportunity to ask Jesus, who is the Lord even over the storm, to also calm your heart as you go through life. So, brothers and sisters, as we go through this new week, Jesus is reminding us that no storm can sink your boat as long as he is with you. He is very much aware that sometimes the storms you face are as a result of you obeying his commands. That is why he is telling you that don't only rely on your skills and your adequacies, because sometimes the storms are beyond you and you will always need him, and he is there by your side. And when you are tempted to ask, do you not care? Remember, he says that I will never forget you. And because he will never forget you, always endeavor to deal with the unbelief in your heart. Because how you are internally disposed will influence how you face the difficulties of life. And be always rest assured that he is with you always until the end of time. Let us bow our heads in prayer. We want to pray about the storms we may be going through. Maybe it is about your health, or your work, or your family. You want to pray and tell him, but Lord, I also want to hear your words, peace, be still. You want to pray for strength, for fortitude.
Master, the tempest is raging, the billows are tossing high. The sky is overshadowed with darkness, no shelter or help is nigh. Carest thou not that we perish? How canst thou lie asleep, when each moment so madly is threatening a grief in the own great deep? The winds and the waves shall obey thy will. Peace, be still. Whether the wrath of the storm to sea, or demons, or men, or whatever it be, no water can swallow anguish of spirit, I bow in my grief today. The depths of my sad heart are troubled. Oh, waken and save, I pray. Torrent of sin and of anguish, sweep o'er my sinking soul, and I perish, Master. Oh, hasten and take control. The winds and the waves shall obey thy will. Peace, be still. Whether the wrath of the storm tossed sea, or demons, or men, or whatever it be, no water can swallow the ship where lies the Master of ocean, on earth, on skies. They all shall sweetly obey thy will. Peace, be still. Peace, be still. They all shall sweetly obey thy will. Peace, peace, still. Master, the terror is over, the elements sweetly rest. A sun in the calm lake is mirrored, and heavens within my breast. Linger, O blessed Redeemer, leave me alone no more, and with joy I shall make the blessed abode, and rest on the blissful shore. The winds and the waves shall obey thy will. Peace, be still. Whether the wrath of the storm tossed sea, or demons, or men, or whatever it be, no water can swallow the ship where lies the Master of ocean, on earth, on skies. They all shall sweetly obey thy will. Peace, be still. Peace, be still. They all shall sweetly obey thy will.
Peace.
Peace, peace, still.
The peace of the Lord be with you.